What's up guys, Kyle here again, and today I have the pleasure of shooting out the Badlander 50 with a Mesa dual rectifier Rev F. Alright guys, so first off I want to start this video off by saying thank you to my good friend Adam Salaga for loaning me this Rev F for the video. He's had this amp for a number of years. If any of you guys are old school hardcore guys out there, he was in a couple of well-known bands from Erie, Shockwave, Disciple AD, Jesus Wept, and more recently his project Human Animal with some of the members of Brothers Keeper and Run Devil Run. Check out Human Animal, I think you'll be a fan of it. Thanks to Adam, make sure to check out Human Animal when you guys get a second. He loaned me his Rev F. This is number 617. Pretty sure it's a Rev F. He's never taken it apart to check the board and see if it's earlier than that, but 617 should be Rev F spec. A lot of people have been asking me to compare the Badlander versus a Rev F because a lot of people seem to think that they would be very, very similar. So right now, everything's on noon, no boosts on. I've got this thing, you can't see it because the lights burn out, but this is on the orange channel, and the Badlander's on the crunch channel. When I go over to the red channel on the Rev F, I will go to the crush mode on the Badlander. Alright guys, so we are on the Badlander. Rev F. So you can see a pretty massive difference in presence with everything at noon. So I'm going to dial the presence up on the Rev F to kind of match where the Badlander's at. Obviously, you know, that's different settings, but at least you'll get a feel for how they sound, you know, with most of the EQ at noon. So that's better. Back to the Badlander. You know, kind of like my other comparisons, the Rectifier or the Rev F sounds bigger and fuller, but not as clear. Badlander's very clear and lots of articulation, but not as much low end. Yeah, so there's a massive difference in just overall fullness set like this. So I'm gonna dial the gain up on each a little bit. So we're on the Rev F. Badlander. Again, still a huge difference in overall brightness and clarity with everything at noon, other than the gain and the presence. So let's actually dial them into how, you know, I would play them. Alright, so we are on the Rev F, and I kind of have the settings dialed into a tone that I kind of like. One thing I immediately notice about the Rev F is it's much tighter than the Rev G rectifiers that I've had. Definitely tighter than the Rev, or the 3-channel, I'm sorry. I haven't played the multi-watt enough to say, but they seem kind of similar ballpark. Okay, on to the Badlander. I think you guys are going to know which one I prefer. The Badlander sounds better to me unboosted at the moment, so let's work a boost in. Let's start with the classic TS9. Alright, so now we're on the Rev F with the TS9 engaged. Badlander, TS9 engaged. Still prefer the Badlander, 100% honestly, but trying to give you guys an objective view. The Mesa is fuller. The way I have it dialed in right now, it has a little bit more presence, aggressiveness in the presence. It's also got a pretty prevalent mid, honestly. That's kind of nice. So that's dialing him in to kind of try to make him sound similar. Not too bad. There's still plenty of differences between the two. There's no doubt. So now we're gonna pull the mids back and kind of go for a little bit more classic rectifier. Sounds good. It's still tight. So that was the Rev F. The Rev F still has that like wall of sound thing going on, whereas the Badlander's more focused for sure. Definitely not as many low-end frequencies here. This one's still tight, but it still has a little bit of that like kind of low-end woof that you expect from a rectifier. It sounds bigger. This sounds clearer and like it would cut better in a mix, but the mids on this one are also nice too. I don't think it would have any problem sitting properly in the mix. So, yeah. I'm gonna play a riff on each and then we'll switch over to the next channel. Same riff on the Badlander. So yeah, a lot more articulation going on here. More mids that would sit in a mix better, tighter, but not as huge sounding. Wall of sound, great mids that would still sit in the mix just fine. A little bit more buzziness to the saturation, I would say, but just way more full. You could probably pair the two together, dial them in slightly differently, and they would sound awesome. Crush channel on the Badlander and red channel on the Rev F. Alright guys, we are back to the crush channel on the Badlander 50, red channel on the Rev F. Everything's at noon, no boost up top. Here's your Rev F. Badlander. Okay, so quite a bit of difference there. Much more scooped on the red channel on the Rev F than the Badlander. That's definitely way more your standard rectifier tone. This, at this setting, doesn't really sound like a rectifier to me. Dial the gain up on each a little bit. Much tighter, more fluid feeling gain, punchier, kind of like a, if you've ever played a diesel VH4, which, you know, maybe a lot of you haven't, but it's got that kind of broad mid-range that the VH4 has. It's not spiky like a Marshall, it's not wah-y like a PV, it's kind of a broad sounding mid. Where this is definitely scooped out and more low mid focused on the Rev F. Alright, let's dial them in a little bit. We'll start with the Rev F. Alright, Rev F, red channel, no boost, dialed into how I would play it. Okay, I pretty much left everything at noon on the Badlander because it sounds good just like that. A little more treble. The treble and presence seem to work at way different frequencies on the Rev F than they do on the Badlander, so it's kind of hard to dial them in similar. And I just think the amount of mid presence this thing has is just way great on this channel. Now they sound very similar, but this still has the broader low end, and the presence seems a little bit more aggressive. Alright, let's kick on the Grid Slammer, because you guys know I've been loving that one. Alright, so now we have the Grid Slammer on, and I bumped the mids up a little bit on the Badlander and bumped the lows. That's the Rev E. So yeah, as you guys can hear, just way more mid presence on this one, a tighter low end. It's very kind of like a clanky metallic low end on this one, which is great for good punchy palm mutes. This one is definitely that more full broad sound, a lot more low mid focused, a little scooped in the highs, kind of like your classic rectifier tone, but the Rev F is significantly tighter than some of the Rev Gs I've had. So this has me interested anyways, but I think I like my multi-watt the best still, but this thing is awesome. I'll play one more riff and then I gotta get out of here, because once again, I film these things on my lunch break and I gotta go back to work. So, thanks again, Adam, for letting me borrow the amp. Really appreciate it. Rectifier, Rev F, number 617 here. Check out his band, Human Animal. I'll post some links down below in the video description. If you guys are, old school hardcore guys, you'll love that stuff. Start on the Rev F. Alright, this has been the Rev F versus the Badlander 50. Thank you guys so much for checking it out. Please like and subscribe if you like videos like this. I'm going to be doing a lot of comparison videos for popular amps that people have been asking me about. But yeah, I got to get the hell out of here. Thanks for stopping in. Kyle out. See you guys later.